Hello and welcome back to the Force for Thought podcast, the show that doesn't know what it has to do, but has the strength to do it. I'm Max.
I'm Matt.
And I'm Luke.
And like I said, this is Force for Thought.
Don't redo
Cut
it.
that,
No. And like I said,
You fucked up, Max. And everyone's going to know it.
Luke's always the one who messes it up. We continue. With Ahsoka debuting next week and more information constantly being learned, we waited as long as we could to discuss the upcoming Ahsoka show, and now the time has come. We're going to discuss our theories, our predictions, what we want to see, and everything in between. But first, be sure to like, subscribe, give us a rating, or whatever it is you can do depending on where you're listening to us. It really helps and goes a long way. That said, let's get into it, and we're going to start with the trailer. What are some key takeaways from the trailer that you guys had? And I kind of want to start with Sabine because there's a lot of discussion around her right now. She referred to Ahsoka as Master. She is clearly using a lightsaber. I think at San Diego Comic-Con they actually had the lightsabers on display, and she had her own unique lightsaber, and they labeled it Sabine's lightsaber. So what do you guys think? Is she Force sensitive, or is she just being trained in the Jedi arts similar to General Grievous with Count Dooku?
I hope she's not Force sensitive and is just training as a Jedi. So, Luke, this is like one of your favorite characters, so you take it away.
I'm not going to go so far as to say I hope that she's not Force sensitive, because if she is Force sensitive, I'm certain I'm going to love it. Right now, with the information that I have, I hope she's not Force sensitive. That being said, my feelings will change on a dime as soon as she is. So I could see it going either way. I think she's not going to be Force sensitive because she's such an established character, and it's not like there was a change in the writer's room or anything. Like, it's Dave Filoni all throughout, and I think he would have had more clues to her being Force sensitive. Or, I mean, Force sensitivity is not, like, just a small thing. Like, you don't just become Force sensitive after years and years. Like, that doesn't... Ahsoka and Kanan and Ezra, with her all those years, it would have come up sometime before now.
They would have sensed it, presumably, as well. At least some sort of inkling. Mm-hmm. And there's none. Maxwell, it seems like you disagree. Or you're just real happy.
No,
You're smiling.
Oh, okay. I was like, I think Matt's insinuating weird things are happening on set than they really are.
No.
Yes, I'm smiling. I'm enjoying this conversation. All right, weirdo. I agree with what Luke was saying. I trust Dave Filoni, and because he's the one who has handled the character, I think whatever he chooses to do with it will be best. I am leaning towards the Force-sensitive camp. I think they're trying to lay hints beforehand so that it's not as jarring, and I think it's really funny seeing like a lot of the fandom be like, "Oh no, she's not going to be Force sensitive. She's just being trained how to use a lightsaber." And I'm like,
anyone knows.
Yeah, and it's like, well, like I said, the only example I could come up with was General Grievous and Count Dooku. So I was like, there really isn't a whole lot of precedent for that, guys. Like, I think you might be setting yourself up for disappointment.
I mean, in the trailer, Ahsoka says a lot has changed, and I was like, is that referring to her or is it referring to Sabine?
Yeah.
Like, oh, yeah, it's a lot's changed. Now you're Force sensitive this entire time. Really would have held back in 4 seasons ago during Rebels.
And then another thing that people are pointing to as well is, and listen, it's a trailer. They're oftentimes edited to be either tricky or misleading. And there is a part where it looks like one of the villains, Shin Hati, is fighting Sabine, and she says, "You have no power." Mm-hmm. And people believe that she's alluding to the Force, and that Sabine isn't going to be Force sensitive. But again, because it's just a trailer and we don't know the context or if she's actually saying that to Sabine, I'm taking it with a mountain of salt and saying that Sabine might be Force sensitive. But if she is, I trust Dave Filoni.
I think Sabine is so cool not being Force sensitive. I think that's almost part of her charm. She can almost do anything. She, as a character, she's always willing to pick up anything and go with it, right? That she is like the Darksaber with her jetpack, with her blasters. I think she is one of like that she is a jack of all trades, and I think that this would only further her being that. And I think, again, I trust Dave Filoni as well, but I don't want to like say that if she is Force sensitive, it'll kind of take it down, because that means everything that she does presumably then will be semi-related to because she's Force sensitive. That's why she can do all these things. Where I feel like it's a lot cooler that is her personality, where she is able to do all these things and being willing to do them, not being kind of guided by the Force for it. Mm-hmm. Sorry, Luke.
It's kind of, it's not sad, but it's just interesting that Star Wars, Lucasfilm or Dave Filoni or whomever has me in the palm of their hand so tightly that I am in a position where I'm saying, like, you can do literally whatever you want with this character that I already love, and I'm just gonna love it more.
Yeah. What a great position to be in.
I know. They really got it made.
I mean, that trailer, both of these trailers really blew me out of the water. I mean, we were able to see Hera, which is one of my favorite characters. We were able to see Chopper, Sabine, obviously Ahsoka. We get little hints of Ezra. Like, being able to see these characters in live action is just one of the most exciting things and most excited I've been. And I don't think I fully, honestly, have processed that we're going to see these characters in hopefully a couple weeks only. I'm saying hopefully, meaning that hopefully they're in episodes 1 or 2 within the next couple weeks. But there's a chance they don't appear till 3 or 4. Cad Bane, a la Cad Bane, Book of Boba Fett. But like, I mean, the trailers blew me away because not only does it looks more akin to me as a crossover between Mandalorian and Andor, where it feels like you live in these worlds and in these set pieces, again, knowing nothing besides basically having 4.5 minutes of footage combined between the teaser and the trailer. But it feels like you can live in these places, which is exactly what Rebels, the show, did. And it, not to just like Obi-Wan, but like we were talking about Obi-Wan, it feels like a Californian desert with a little bit of a bridge or whatever, a gate. And I don't think anything we have seen looks like that. I don't know, something seems a little bit more tangible than Mandalorian for some reason, and I'm very excited. I mean, the villains look fantastic. We get characters that we know and love, but first time we're seeing them in live action, together at least, and I think all those things combined for 4.5 minutes of footage have gotten us talking about Ahsoka for the past literal months, and so I cannot wait.
Yeah, it is really exciting to see all the shots of Lothal, like the shots that we've seen in animation
on the tower,
brought to real life. It is really
the
cool
mural.
to see. Like, it's such a silly thing to point out, but like just that long bridge that leads out of like Lothal.
Yeah.
I'm like, I've seen that bridge so many times.
We're so familiar with it.
Yeah.
It's like being there and finally seeing it. It's like, yeah, oh my God. It's like, yes, oh, hello, old friend.
Yeah. Yeah, there's going to be a weird sense of comfort and like familiarity with the show.
Because it's been a long time since we've finished Rebels now. Was it 2015?
2018.
2018? Oh yeah. Okay. So that was that was a long time ago.
5 years, yeah.
And I'm like, we haven't seen those things in a new context in a very long time. I'm excited to see it.
All right, let's talk about something else from the trailer. Let's talk about the new Inquisitor. There was an Inquisitor that was revealed in the trailer, and it sparked a lot of discussion about when the show takes place exactly and who the Inquisitor is. Do you guys believe the Inquisitor is somebody with a connection to Ahsoka's past, or do you believe it is just a random Inquisitor, and when do you believe we are seeing this Inquisitor?
I hope that it is a random Inquisitor. I think, like we talked about...
You hope it's a random Inquisitor?
I do. I think that's
interesting.
Because it's an opportunity for a new conflict. And I think that is really interesting. That's something we weirdly don't get. A lot of things, especially in modern day Star Wars, which is fine. Everyone's related. Everything is happening for a reason. It's like, oh yes, we already have Thrawn. They already have such a checkered past, right? And so we have all of these things that are already from the past. I would love something new. And I would love to see Ahsoka and the crew, primarily Ahsoka, deal with somebody that is brand new and a new adversary to her, versus being like, oh, we have this huge past and I kind of know how to fight you. It's like, no, what if we have has no idea how to fight this Inquisitor, has no idea what they're thinking, who they are, and I feel like that would be very fun to see.
And that's interesting that you say that. I think I disagree with what you say. I agree to an extent where you say, like, I want something new, but I think we are getting that with Baylan Skoll and Shin Hati.
Also look great.
And because we're getting them, I kind of want to see somebody that has a connection to Ahsoka's past. I hope that the Inquisitor is somebody. I hope that it is revealed to be somebody like Barriss Offee or Galen Merrick was a possible rumor that was floating around.
That'd be
cool. A lot of people think it's Galen Merrick because the Inquisitor's name is supposed to be Marok or something similar to that.
But the spelling is different, right?
Yeah.
So it's like...
So I really hope that it is, but I don't think it is. I think it's going to be just a random Inquisitor, and I think they're going to be in the show for a grand total of like 45 seconds worth of screen time.
I hope not. I hope this is a thing that we've been talking about. I hope this is a character that goes beyond just Ahsoka and is able to be an Inquisitor for the
They have way too many villains already. They have Baylan Skoll, they have Shin Hati, they have Morgan Elsbeth's character. I forget her name. That
I feel like
character.
what's her? Sorry, say
and Thrawn.
The villains again.
Balin Skoll is
Yes.
the late Ray Stevenson,
Yeah.
and Shin Hati is the girl.
Yes.
His
Okay, so-
supposed apprentice is what they make it look like.
Shin Hati to me, for some reason, feels like she will be good in the end. I don't. Does she not give you everything in the trailer? Feels like she is questioning everything and is going to be on the other side. I don't know.
Interesting.
I didn't
Just my
gather
gut.
any of that. No.
Which
Is that going to be your prediction? You think she's going to turn to the light by the end of the season?
I don't even think she is. I think that she is. I don't know necessarily a mole, but I think she is. I don't know. I mean, I'm very interested. This could go very wrong, but I feel like there is like this. I don't know. Maybe it's just a breadcrumb. The way she's looking, she looks really badass, but I feel like. I don't know. I feel like she is not going to be fully bad. I feel like she is only in this position to get closer to either Ahsoka or something else, and I feel like she is on her own mission and is going to. I don't know. I can't really put it into words. I feel like I was going to talk about this later, but yeah, I do not think she's going to be bad the entire time. But I also agree. I do want it to be somebody random, but honestly, everything you just said sounds great too. So I'm pretty cool either way.
I've been sitting out this conversation because I wanted to pull up the Eighth Brother on my phone. Are you guys familiar with the Eighth Brother?
I think I just looked him up because I just finished reading Rise of the Red Blade. Let me see a picture.
Because so I know this isn't.
Oh, it's
great
the
for a
one that
podcast
looks like
format, but
him?
he's the one that looks exactly like
Yeah.
the Inquisitor.
A
From
lot of people have been saying that.
Yeah, and like I know I can't show this to our listeners right now, but go ahead and Google Eighth Brother versus the Ahsoka Inquisitor and like take a look at those two side by side. That is the same armor. I think it's definitely going to be the Eighth Brother.
It's similar, but because the Eighth Brother was the one who we were led to believe died during Rebels when he was flying away on his lightsaber. It was like flying like a helicopter, and then
Yeah,
it
he had-
malfunctions, and then he kind of falls.
Yeah,
He
in
had
one
the
way.
off-screen implied
Exactly.
death.
Right.
Also, can you imagine instead of Galen Merrick, if that's like the equivalent of me changing my last name to Lewis Louis instead of Lewis? It's like no.
No, like the city Saint.
Yeah. Oh, okay.
But your name is still Matt Lewis. Yeah, that's right. Different
Yeah.
one though.
That's a really fun idea. Write that down.
No,
we're recording it.
I don't know why I've said this multiple times that if I ever had to change my name, I would change my first name to Mac and my last name to Staylor.
Max
same
Taylor.
same joke, really. Yeah, my name would still be Max Taylor. But yeah, that's interesting that that you think that about the Inquisitor. I hope that it's. Or Luke, what were you going to say about it? You think that you think the Inquisitor is going to be a main character, or do you think they're going to die in 2 seconds?
I think he's going to be a minor character. I don't know if he'll die in 2 seconds or if he'll just show up, have a fight, and then go off screen and he'll be in Lucasfilm's back pocket for another story in the future. But I do not think he'll be a major presence in this series.
Is Luke Skywalker? What are you talking about? Is Ahsoka a miniseries or is this a show? Does anybody know?
What's it matter? Like that's
10 episodes.
what's the
versus,
difference?
Well,
what's it?
expectations. You
Yes.
expect them to wrap everything up by the end.
That's the
if it's
thing, yeah.
if
Do
they
you?
make a big deal about saying like, oh, there's already going to be a season 2, then it's
Yeah.
like, okay, so Thrawn's going to survive.
Yeah.
Maybe someone else survives.
Well, we know Thrawn's going to survive because he's going to be the big bad in the Mando movie.
do we know that for sure?
I mean, that's what we
No,
were talking about, though.
We're
a couple
led to
weeks
believe
ago.
that, right? I agree with you that he likely will be, but we don't know that.
It's just such an odd thing where, I mean, he has to be. I feel like the bad guy, I guess, but it's just such an odd thing that this feels like the wrapping up of Rebels to me, and it feels like it should end with Thrawn's death.
I think that'll be the Mando movie.
Yeah.
I mean, I thought this before the trailers even came out, and then now that we know that there's 2 other villains, I think beyond the shadow of a doubt, Thrawn will survive.
So I had this later on, but let's just jump right to it.
Yeah.
Who do you think is living, and who do you think who's dying? I said that weird.
No, yeah.
I'd be surprised if any of the Rebels crew died, and well,
I know. I have not thought about it, to be honest.
I don't think Hera will die. I don't think Chopper could die. That'd
Well,
be sad.
I'll say this. I'm not even talking about that. I don't think anyone from the Ghost crew is going to die. I think Thrawn is going to survive. I think, and I also kind of hope that Balin Skoll dies. I think he's going to die because I think Thrawn survives, and I feel like Balin Skoll is going to be the bad guy that they set up for the 1 season arc and then kill off. But also because Ray Stevenson has tragically passed away, I kind of hope that his character has some sort of resolution to
Yeah.
it, because that's just going to be unfortunate if not.
Star Wars has not had great success with that.
They have not.
area.
I
Do
know
you
it's going to be
think
so unfortunate.
Thrawn is going to be the Emperor, kind of like the new Emperor, where he's actually kind of just going to be in the background the entire time and basically not encounter the Ghost crew whatsoever.
I heard another podcast talk about that, and I
Don't
didn't
name
really
it.
think about it, but I kind of do. Yeah.
Yeah.
I think Thrawn will have a minimal on-screen appearance.
Yeah,
I agree.
Present,
Which
I
is-
should say. Minimal
Which is
on-screen
odd, though, because I
presence.
feel like when we left Rebels, it was like, yep, him and Ezra just kind of gone. And I feel like it's a weird thing to pick back up. And I'm excited to see, because again, I do love when Star Wars does this. We always talk about like an Empire Strikes Back where you're randomly on Hoth. and you're like, how do we get here from the last time I saw these characters?
Mhm.
You just have no idea. Same thing with Return. You're like, oh, okay, now we're just randomly walking through the desert again to Jabba's palace. No idea what the connection is yet. And I think the same thing will be with this. It's like when you watch Rebels, it's like, yep, that's how it ends. The show ends, and then all of a sudden we're going to jump ahead X amount of years, and all of a sudden Thrawn is not kind of chasing Ezra, I guess, or whatever, and then Ezra is going to be somewhere else and hiding, and Thrawn's going to be kind of in the background, I guess. It's going to be odd to see that jump, but I'm excited to see their reasoning behind it, of where these characters were and why they're no longer where we thought they were going to be.
Yeah, the show starts off with so many questions.
Yes.
Unlike Boba Fett. When Boba Fett started,
Yeah.
we had luckily already seen him a little bit in Mandalorian to be able to piece things together. This, we have a lot of questions.
Yeah, Boba Fett
specifically
started
about
with nothing.
Thrawn and Ezra.
Boba Fett started with nothing but answers.
Yeah,
Hey, you guys know how you already know all these things? Well, buckle up.
I
Doubles
think
down.
the search for Thrawn and Ezra is going to be like the inciting incident that brings Ahsoka to Sabine and to Hera and the New Republic, and then I think that is going to be immediately and entirely derailed by whatever Baylan Skoll and his apprentice Hati are doing. I think that we're going to be like led to believe in the first few minutes of the series that it's going to be about finding Ezra and Thrawn,
Yeah.
and then it'll be about something completely different for
And then time
the
jump,
entire.
right?
And then what?
Time jump?
I don't think it'll be a time jump. I think there'll be
Yeah?
like flashbacks. Of,
I hope it's not a flashback.
I think it'll be a time jump.
Yeah, I
Really?
hope so.
So again, I'm going out of order for what I wanted to talk about.
C-
But my
well,
prediction
'cause
is
what's
that
the stuff that we need to see either as a flashback or as a time jump? Because there's two different time periods. So it's what are those things that we know we're going to see and that are in different times?
So when you rewatch Rebels ends a long time before A New Hope really takes place, but there is a time jump at the end of Rebels where it jumps straight to after the war, and that's when Ahsoka goes and gets Sabine, and they start looking for Ezra, because Sabine's giving the voiceover during that time,
Mm-hmm.
and those shots are, it looks like, being recreated shot for shot in live action. And there's a lot of footage of Sabine with long hair, and then you see that dramatic scene of her cutting her hair in the exact same way Kanan cut his hair in Rebels. And then she sees Ahsoka again standing just like she did at the end of Rebels, and then
'Cause
they go off.
So it's Sabine's hair that's really our clue to the time change. So she has short hair when she meets Ahsoka and long hair in the before time, either as a flashback or we're going to open up and she has long hair and then there'll be a time jump and she'll have short hair.
Well, maybe a time jump is the wrong word. I think what's going to happen, because they're releasing the first 2 episodes together, my prediction is that the first 2 episodes are all going to take place within that Rebels timeline, where it's going to take place after the main events of Rebels, but right before that last scene where Ahsoka gets Sabine and they go off. I think we're going to get 2 episodes filling in what Ahsoka was doing there, and then the other, is there 8 episodes total? The other 6 or so episodes will take place after that event.
Okay.
That's just my theory based on her hair, I guess. Yeah, is the main way of doing it.
So we're very fixated on the hair, and so am I. So here we go. But I think she's gonna cut her hair right when she gets back with Ahsoka to go look for Ezra, and I feel like
Well, you said that Ahsoka approaches Sabine and she already has short hair.
Yeah.
Does she?
In Rebels, yeah.
Because she has short
Yes,
hair in the
in
epilogue.
Rebels. Yeah. Okay. Damn.
But
'cause
that's
I
like the first time Ahsoka and
Well,
Sabine see
but that
each
fits
other.
with what I think you're
Yes.
trying to say. Yes, I think she's
just-
going to have long hair.
Yeah.
Her and Ahsoka are going to butt heads.
Yeah.
And then I think it's going to be at the end of episode 2. Sabine's going to cut her hair and say, okay, Ahsoka, let's go look for Ezra.
Yeah, because it's like we're getting the gang back together, but
Yeah.
a visual representation of it.
Exactly.
And that's what do you think? Do you think? And not to hijack this too, but I don't know if this is on your questions as well. But we talked a little bit about this. But what are your thoughts on Zeb as well being in the show at all?
I think practically speaking, because I know it costs a lot of money to CGI whole characters like that, I don't think he's going to be in it too much, but we got to see him.
Yeah,
we're going to
I
see
agree.
everyone in the Ghost crew. I don't know if we're going to see Ezra alive in the current timeline. You guys think, what do you think about that? Do you think Ezra is dead?
No.
No, I don't think so either. I think he's going to be. They're looking for him, right? And I think he could. There's a potential he could be a huge part of, if not one of the biggest parts of the Filoni movie at the end as well, and everything, and with Thrawn and Ezra. I feel like that makes the most sense, to be honest. I feel like this is looking for Luke Skywalker, but in a different kind of way. And it's like he is gonna be the one that saves the day at the end, a little bit.
So you
I feel
think
like
so you think he's alive and he's out there with Thrawn?
You think there's a chance that Ezra is dead in the current timeline?
Yeah.
That would be so dissatisfying
Yeah.
to see Thrawn and Ezra jump off into the unknown regions, and then the buildup of the epilogue of Rebels that Sabine and Ahsoka team up to go find him, and he's dead.
Not at all. Because what do you think's going to happen? They go off in the distance, and then Thrawn's like, all right, kid, you took me too far from home, so I guess we're just going to go about our mutual ways now. Like there had to have been some sort of further conflict after that point. And let me clarify, because this is another question I want to ask about the world between worlds. I think that that's going to come into play, and I think there is a chance that Ahsoka might save Ezra similar to how he saved her going through the world between worlds.
With that being
That would
said,
be
I
interesting.
was going to see, I think that's a great theory. I think there's a better chance of Ahsoka dying than Ezra dying.
Well, Ahsoka's not dying.
I think that Filoni, I think I could see Filoni, maybe if this is a multiple season thing or in the movie, I think Filoni's going to want to kill her off.
I disagree. I think Ahsoka has Grogu status where they will never meet a death.
I think,
for as long as
unfortunately,
we
too, Lucasfilm knows that Ahsoka's way too popular of a character.
Oh yeah, and that.
From
She
a
is
meta
indeed.
perspective, they're gonna know that she's gonna put butts in the seats.
Yeah, I guess that's true. I don't know. I'm not saying in this season necessarily even too, but I think she has a higher chance of dying than Ezra.
Maybe in the Filoni movie,
Yeah.
like the finale of all of it.
Yep, I can definitely see her dying, and I think that if anything, Star Wars has learned that they do need to unfortunately kill characters.
Yeah.
Because we got the instant gratification of Chewie not dying. What
what
was talking about?
What do
and
we
stuff,
know?
too.
We know Luke Skywalker was around during the events of the First Order,
Mm-hmm.
right? So hopefully, if Ahsoka was alive, Luke would have mentioned at some point, like, "Oh, hey, there's another woman that can help you in this."
Yeah, that's true.
situation."
Exactly.
So maybe I think she probably should die.
We
at some
had
point
the same
before then, but-
conversation with the original trilogy back when the Clone Wars was coming out. There are ways to work it around.
that's so true.
Yeah,
It is literally the exact same conversation
see-
from
well-
10 years ago.
we'll see. We'll see.
Last thing I want to ask too, and
And then they addressed it, and they did a good job with it with Rebels. They addressed it.
the thing
So if they don't address it now in Ahsoka, they will in the future. It's fine. We'll get a lot of Ahsoka content.
We'll get it. The last thing that I want to see is just, I know I've been talking a little bit about this, but do you think we're going to end up getting a Force Ghost Kanan?
I think so.
It has to
well,
be, right?
no, because canonically, he was never trained to become a Force Ghost. Only a few people have, and we see them all as Force Ghosts, and Kanan definitely never was.
And I don't know. I don't know why he would.
Or is there
I
gonna
feel like
be
it
a
makes more
world-
sense for
like-
Anakin to come back as
Like
a
a
Force
world
ghost.
between worlds type thing, seeing a flashback to when the Ghost Crew was together and a different
Oh.
version of Kanan, like
World Between Worlds, like, you think there's a chance we might see Freddie Prinze Jr. as Kanan in this show?
something. Like
I think that's
Like
possible.
there's something that I feel like there's a possibility. Like if
Or
they're
just a
going
flashback.
in the world between worlds, yeah. So I just feel like there's the opportunity to be like, hey, let's just do this thing that like they're going in the world between worlds and they're potentially like as they're passing one of those portals, whatever, they can see like a moment from we saw in Rebels and they recreate it in live action.
Yeah,
or something.
I think that's possible.
That would be rad, and that would be a better version of it than a Force Ghost. I think too.
Yeah, I agree.
I'm
Because
just
a Force
trying
Ghost
to-
could only interact with Ezra or Ahsoka,
Yeah.
and we really would be starving for some
Yeah.
Kanan Hera stuff.
And we know that Hayden is coming back to play Anakin.
yes.
So I
Oh my god, I haven't even thought about that.
I know.
Oh my God.
Sometimes I'm just living my life, and that thought jumps into my mind, and I get goosebumps.
Yeah.
That is going to be the best content
All right.
of my entire life.
Let's talk about that. Do you think that's going to be a Force Ghost coming back to Ahsoka? Or do you think we're going to get a flashback? Because Baylan Skoll in the trailer also says Anakin spoke highly of you. So maybe we'll get a flashback. Maybe, fingers crossed, we'll get Order 66 from yet another perspective, and that'll be Baylan's perspective. And maybe instead of
Yep,
trying to
I think we'll
defend
see
himself,
that.
he'll go with Anakin, and we'll get more.
I hope it is a-
There's a lot of
He won't go with
possibilities.
Anakin. He'll do something though. I do think that's interesting. I haven't thought about that, and I do think we'll see Order 66 from Baylan Skoll's perspective, because he's almost certainly a next Jedi, right? Is
Yeah,
that
yeah.
confirmed? I think it's confirmed.
Yeah, I think it
enough.
has been confirmed. Yeah.
The upside and downside is that we only have 8 episodes, and there's a lot that we want to see already. We're
But isn't
talking.
that just the perfect amount of episodes for a TV show, Matt?
No, 10 is, but 8 is the standard now, unfortunately. But that's the thing is, we want so much to happen. I want to be able to live in those moments. Like even when we are looking back at like Color and Back and stuff too, those moments, I was like, man, I would really love like a full sequence of that versus just being like a 2-minute snippet. So I'm hoping that we do see a lot of these things, but I hope they're actually able to marinate and we're able to live in those worlds for a little bit longer. Because like I think of Obi-Wan as well. And I'm just like those flashbacks when they're like him and Anakin, Obi-Wan and Anakin are dueling and stuff too. I'm like, man, I would actually like to see like a little bit of a lead up to that. Like almost, again, that is a movie, but like you're able to be sitting in those environments for just like a little bit longer than just those snippets of that. I'm like, man, I really want to see Order 66 actually play out in a 10, 15 minute sequence versus, 15-second bursts as well. But I'm just like, I don't want to set myself up for too much because because there's so much I want to be covered. Like we're talking the world between worlds and potentially seeing Kanan and then seeing Order 66. But then there is Hayden Christensen and there is all these different characters. I'm like, man, that's a lot to fit in 8 episodes. How is this only? There's no way it's a miniseries. Like singing this out loud. Like there's no way that because we're not going to be able to spend any time with any of these characters, especially if it's called Ahsoka. She is the main person we're going to follow.
Yeah.
So I'm wondering if even the first episode is all Ahsoka and we get nothing of. I don't know. Part of me thinks we're going to end episode 2 with her meeting Sabine, and then the rest of it is going to go on. The rest of the show is going to be. And
when
then
you say meeting with Sabine, you mean like that's when Sabine agrees to go with her and they search for Ezra?
I think it's going to be the first
the
time
end of
she
Rebels, basically.
Sees her. Yeah, I think that's when it's going to. I think
we're the first time she sees her.
Yeah, I think we're going to be. Oh. She's going to be by herself doing whatever she was doing. Between those times,
not. That's going to move way too slowly.
I think it's going.
I know. I was just thinking that. I'm going to be sitting on the edge of my seat waiting for all these characters to show up, and they're going to give us a full 45 minutes of Ahsoka exploring ruins.
But
I think that's exactly what's going to happen.
To Matt's credit, though, I think we should be speculating a lot on why it's a 2-episode finale because
premiere,
thank you. Because they did a 3-episode premiere for Andor, which made total sense because the first 3 episodes were like a full arc. They did a 2-episode premiere for Kenobi, which again made sense because the first episode of Kenobi just ends with him like putting his lightsaber on his belt and going onto a ship. But the second episode ended with the cut to Darth Vader.
Exactly.
There's a reason that this is going to be the second episode instead of 1 or 3.
We could either get Ezra and Thrawn. We can either get Sabine and they're going to be like, all right, let's go find Hera and everybody else. And that's what I can imagine. And I feel like episode 3 will start with Hera's perspective and then them meeting her is my thought. And then I feel like, last thing, sorry, Luke, is that episodes 6 and 7 probably will be a mini episodes of Mandalorian.
I hope not. I'm going to be so mad.
Can you imagine? I would actually be furious. Like,
I would. Especially after season 3, it's like, we really have no reason to go back to these people.
But you only go back to Christopher Lloyd in jail. Son of a...
I think the reason for the 2-episode premiere is going to be because episode 1 is going to be just Ahsoka alone doing stuff, and episode 2 is going to be a lot more characters for people to talk about. And I think if they only did the first episode, people would be bored talking about Ahsoka alone for a week.
Maybe they meet at the end of episode 1, and then episode 2 is like the gang back together, piece by piece,
something like that.
Yeah.
But going back to Hayden Christensen, I think he will definitely
we glossed over that.
I know. This is probably the part I'm most excited for, but I think he'll definitely be flashbacks, him in the Clone Wars, because I also think they cast a young Ahsoka, didn't they? Am I making that up? I think I remember hearing about that. Mm-hmm.
I don't remember hearing anything about it, but maybe.
But also, the scene, Dave Filoni's talked before about how when he was shooting Ahsoka, how surreal it was to actually shoot this scene that he had been, like, editing and revising and picturing in his mind for like 6 years or 10 years or something.
It's gonna be so good, guys.
And it is. This conversation is getting me so excited. But I think it's gonna be Force Ghost Anakin talking with Ahsoka, and I can't wait for that.
Because we saw Ahsoka and Luke together in the Book of Boba Fett.
Yeah, so it'll be Ahsoka and Luke meeting because we don't see them meet, which blew me away that we just saw them. Because that was one of the most interesting things that, like, how are they going to meet? How are these characters going to interact? And then their interactions in the Book of Boba Fett are kind of mild, like they've been friends for a while. And I really wanted to see that relationship develop, or like even just meet each other. That's got to be such a wildly emotional ride for Ahsoka. Which brings me to another thing I want to talk about. Rosario Dawson's performance of Ahsoka in The Mandalorian and the Book of Boba Fett is very formal and like reserved,
very timid,
very stoic.
And that's kind of how Ahsoka is in Rebels. But if you're leading a whole TV show, she's got to crank up the emotion and
bring back some of that snippiness from the Clone Wars.
Yeah, she's got to really crank up her.
Dave Filoni has said though that he always saw Ahsoka as being more of a Gandalf type character.
That's true.
So maybe she will kind of lean more into the wise.
Gandalf even has his moments of
Gandalf the Grey all the way versus Gandalf the White. Give me the give me the kooky Gandalf.
Interesting.
Gandalf the White's too godly. I don't know. Get out of here. Give me a little devil in that. I like my Gator with a little devil in him.
Let's talk about. I mean, the show is just jam packed with possibilities. Do you think Luke will be mentioned, or do you think Luke will be in it?
Oh man, why wouldn't he be?
I know. I think if he's in Boba Fett,
Right,
like
I mean-
Boba Fett, anything's happened.
yeah,
I mean, yeah, technically, like physically, there's nothing stopping them. Creatively, I'm sure Dave Filoni would love to do it. His character works in this story, in this time period. I don't see a reason why not to include him.
Because it's just getting too jam packed. Because here's another one I'm going to throw at you: Captain Rex.
Yeah, Captain Rex will be in it for sure.
Yeah, Captain Rex is a lot easier to include than Luke Skywalker, I think. I mean,
But-
not just physically.
But think about how many characters we're talking about now that we've never seen in the trailers. Like,
But-
think about everything we've seen in the trailer, and then throw on top of that Luke Skywalker, Anakin Skywalker, Captain Rex. Who else haven't we seen?
I mean,
Ezra.
already. I mean, all right. So
Kanan.
those five. Captain Rex is a standout in a sense that if you have Anakin or Luke or Ezra or Kanan, you have to spend a lot of time with that character, unpacking their relationship with Ahsoka. Captain Rex can just kind of show up and tell the audience, "Hey, I'm Ahsoka's friend."
Yeah,
and
that's true.
We'll be head over heels in love with it, and everyone else will be like, "Okay, let's keep
Yeah.
going."
I
Yeah.
feel like they're on the mission, so that she's going to pull in every favor she knows, right? And I feel like these are those favors, and we're going to see kind of her. We're not. I don't think.
yeah, maybe because
Yeah.
when we see that shot of Hera pleading with Mon Mothma,
Yeah.
and
Yeah, Mon Mothma's in the show. Jesus.
Kaz's dad is in it too.
Yeah.
She says like, I'm begging you to help me prevent another war. I have a feeling they're gonna say, oh, bureaucracy, we can't help you.
Yeah.
And then she's gonna have to rely on favors. She's
Yeah.
gonna summon the ghost crew,
Yes,
Captain Rex.
exactly.
Jason Syndulla, we haven't talked about him yet.
True.
And there was a leak recently, I think, with a Lego set.
Yeah, he's a minifig in a Lego set.
Yeah.
Damn. That'll be cool. I mean,
For those of you who don't know, go watch Rebels. But Jason Syndulla is the child of Hera and Kanan that was revealed in the last episode of Rebels.
Yeah.
He still wouldn't be that old by now, though. I mean, if he's born, Rebels takes place like 5 years. It ends like 5 years before A New Hope. And
How old was he, do you think, when we saw him in the cockpit at the end of Rebels?
He's not going to be.
He was like 7.
toddler, yeah, 5 or 6, I would guess.
Not a toddler. But yeah, I think around there, 5, 6, 7 years
Right.
old. And I think the show is going to be taking place concurrent to that and maybe a little bit after. So I think Jason Syndulla is going to be very much a child still. I would guess around
Interesting.
8 to 10 years old at
Man,
most.
Him and Chopper are going to be best buds.
That would be such a fun dynamic.
That would be a fun dynamic. Yeah, I'm so excited. But I feel like with the Rex stuff, I feel like most of these like cameos, I'll just call them. Like I don't think he'll be in it. I think he could be maybe. We'll see him do what. I think a lot of these are like, what are they doing now? And I think they, if Ahsoka's calling in a favor, we'll get to see Rex what he's doing currently, and then like he can help out, and then maybe an episode later, it's like, oh hey, by the way, like how did things work out? Blah blah blah. I'm gonna have a phone call with you now, or like, hey, that thing that you asked for is followed up on. I think we'll see a lot of that with all these different kind of cameos and stuff too. But that's the thing, I just want a lot of it, which is unfortunate because I feel like even in the prequels, like we talk about them very highly, and you spend so much time with all these characters. Like Qui-Gon Jinn is only in one movie, but like, you spend time with that guy, and I kind of want the same thing. Again, especially with these characters, because we were just kind of complaining a little bit with how seasons, maybe just me, seasons 1 and 2 of Rebels drag a little bit. Like I think those 12 to 15 episode seasons are 10 out of 10, and I think the ones that are 22, 24 can drag a little bit with filler,
Sure.
just a little bit. But like either way, you spend so much time with these characters, and I feel like they equally deserve as much, even though it's live action, way more expensive. We're used to seeing these characters in a very certain way, and I'm hoping that we do also see these characters continue to be like that. Mer.
Low-hanging fruit and not really a character, but what about the ghost?
Yeah, I'm excited to see the ghost.
Have we not seen that in a trailer yet?
No, I think we've only seen the Phantom 2.
Oh, well. All right, yeah. Definitely the ghost will be in
Yeah.
it.
I hope the ghost is in it. I just recently made an investment myself.
Did you get it?
I did, yeah.
How many?
Just one. Hasbro has released a HasLab where they make these big toys, but it requires a certain amount of people to back it before they'll produce it. And this one was the Ghost, and I purchased it, and I'm very excited for it, even though I'm not going to get it for
backed by
a
now,
long
right?
time. Oh, it's been backed for a while now. Yeah, they're just waiting to see how many of the extra tiers they hit for like the extra add-ons and stuff.
I have been debating
But
as well.
I tried
Very
to.
cool.
all the previous HasLabs have skyrocketed in price, like over doubled. So I was trying to convince my wife to let me speculate on the Ghost by purchasing, I think 5 is like the most they'll allow you.
5 per person.
So I really wanted to speculate.
That's for like people that own shops that want to sell them retail.
I know.
It's not for people like you to buy 5.
I can undercut these shops.
With that being said, Max, give that price tag so people understand the absurdity of what you're trying to ask your wife.
It is $500.
So
but
it's a big toy.
Pause for gas. Pause for gas.
I think it's like 3 feet by 2 feet. It is large.
Wow.
And but $500. The Jabba's sail barge was another HasLab. That one was originally $500, and currently it sells between like $2 and $3 grand. Because after the production, it's only the people who back it that get these toys, and then after that, it's done.
Yeah.
So the Jabba's sail barge was $500, and that's going for like $2 to $3 grand. And the Razor Crest was another one, and that one was less. I think that one was like maybe like $250 or $300 or so. But that one's also going for like between $600 and $700.
And now that'll never be seen again on screen is going for less.
I think that came out at the perfect time where I think it like
You're like, this is the new ship we're all gonna love.
Yeah.
The new Millennium Falcon.
it was like right after season
Just
1
kidding.
going into season 2. And then,
The Ghost, I think, is the second coolest ship next to the Millennium Falcon. The Millennium Falcon is just too
it's
classic.
a great Ghost. So these
Ghost is
toys,
great.
these toys are an investment. So your daughters will be able to make a nice little payday once they pry it
There's-
out of your dead hands when you're 90.
Yeah.
correct. Yeah.
Yeah,
Once
if they can get it before I do.
once they dig me up and remove this from my coffin, they'll be able to play with it all they want.
I'm acting like you're gonna die first. Who am I kidding? We both got heart problems.
Have you seen this guy? Oh, we do. But anyway, yeah, I agree. I think the Ghost is going to be in it, and I'm very excited to see it on screen. Let's talk a little bit more about Balin's school, because we kind of glossed over that a little bit. So he said Anakin spoke highly of you. What do you think is Balin's relationship to Anakin? I think it's been confirmed that Balin is a former Jedi who survived the Purge, but we don't know much beyond that.
I wouldn't guess you would have a relationship with Anakin more than just fellow Jedi. I mean,
Yeah.
I would think it would be like the same
Water
relationship
cooler?
between water cooler.
That's
talk,
just
like,
water cooler talk. Like, oh, I have an apprentice now, Balin. Things are
how's
going
it
well.
going?
Yeah, she's good. She's good.
How was your weekend?
right. It's like the same
Took the kids
relationship.
to Disney. You know.
The same relationship between Kit Fisto and Anakin. It's like they knew each other, but they weren't friends. They didn't go golfing or anything.
Do you think we'll get any Kit Fisto content?
No. Alas, another project, another missed opportunity.
All right. What else? What other? Did you guys have any other major takeaways from anything?
I
don't think so. But
Pure
I am
excitement.
I am so excited for this
I
show.
am
They're
very excited.
I don't have any many theories besides what we've talked about already. I mean, we've talked about I think a lot of theories, not necessarily in depth, because we don't. I mean, you can really go in.
we don't know
deep
anything about the plot.
We know nothing about the plot, and so I think. I honestly, more or less, I'm excited. I don't want to theorize too much because, like we talked about a couple weeks ago, the biggest letdown is your own expectations. I don't think we're going to be let down because we've consistently have trusted Dave Filoni, especially with Ahsoka, which I think he's going to take really good care. I was going to say Bad Batch took a dip in season 2, but that's absolutely not true. It's way better than season 1, I think. And I feel like he left Bad Batch season 2. And
did he do Bad Batch season 1? I thought he had the same involvement with both seasons.
yeah, did he do Bad Batch season 1?
I don't think so.
Interesting. I thought he was.
I want to double check this now, but I agree with Matt. I thought he had less involvement with the second season for some
Same.
reason.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay.
Let's just say I'm right, and if I'm wrong, which is a high possibility, oh well.
And if you're listening to this and you know we're wrong, please comment.
Yes. But if he left season 2 of Bad Batch with less involvement, and then also it seems like Boba Fett took a major backseat, gave it to Robert Rodriguez. I think all of his cards are in Ahsoka, and I don't think he's going to do Ahsoka wrong. And by the looks of the trailers, it looks great, visually stunning. Again, it feels to me like a mix between Mandalorian and Andor, where things seem to be tangible and real. And I mean, the CG alone, it looks great, I think, too. Not to just say things are practical, but I mean, I think everything just feels real, like Andor. And I think between that and, knowing these characters, the one little hiccup, I guess, is like what Luke said with Rosario Dawson is like, I'm interested in seeing if she is going to be loosened up. I know that's not necessarily her as an actress because she's great. Just tell Haunted Mansion, she's great in that. She's also great in Clerks, too, a very long time ago. Rosario Dawson is awesome, and she obviously plays those characters that are wackier, too. So it's obviously direction from Filoni. But I'm interested if we do get a little more of like that Snips, like, relationship and dialogue.
I'm sure we will, because Filoni directed Ashley Eckstein just the same as he directs Rosario Dawson. And so, I mean, both actresses have incredible amounts of talent and range, and so it's got to be his decision to have her be as stoic as she has been in Mando and Book of Boba Fett.
And I'm hoping I just hope he doesn't play it too serious because it's live action, like with Sabine and stuff. Because Sabine, I feel like can be like a moody teenager-ish, like in Rebels a bit. And I feel like what is she going to be like?
A long time ago, canonically.
Yes, exactly. So what is that going to be like now? Is she going to be fully moody, or is she going to be a little bit more lighthearted? Like it just seems a little darker. So I'm expecting to see these characters a little bit. A little bit like even in Zeb in that one scene we saw him. There's not really jokes cracked or anything like a classic Zeb. So I'm interested. It's going to take 10% darker, I think, which will take some getting used to, which is totally fine. And I think I like that better. I mean, by the trailers, I'm very excited. I can go on and on, but like visually stunning.
Yeah.
Piggybacking off that, though, I will say Dave Filoni comes from animation, and the animated shows, the plots tend to be much more straightforward. The dialogue is much more direct, and because that's where he's coming from, I will say my only negative prediction for the show, I don't think the writing is going to be stellar. I don't think it's going to take me out of it. I think I'm still going to love it because I'm going to love the plot, the characters, and everything else, but I think it's going to be a little bit of a learning curve. So I'm also very excited for it, but I am a little nervous just because we've talked about this with Mandalorian a lot, right? Where Mandalorian feels like an animated show that has just been brought to life. And when you look at some of the McClunky writing in Mandalorian, a lot of it is like, that just feels like something that would come from an animated show.
Yeah.
So I feel like there are going to be those moments in Ahsoka, but I think it's going to be chalked up as a learning curve. Dave has never done live action on his own before, right? I mean, he was obviously heavily involved in Mandalorian, but with Jon Favreau, who has all the experience in the world.
He's directed at least 3 episodes. 1 episode in Mando Season 1, 1 in Mando Season 2, and 1 in Book of Boba Fett. I'm having a hard time
directing,
remembering.
but did he write those?
I'm sure. Yeah, because I have Ahsoka in him. He's always the one writing Ahsoka.
Did he?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah.
We'll see.
That's a great call.
I'm very excited for it, and I'm not like nervous, but I'm kind of thinking that, I'm not going to be surprised if it doesn't have as good of writing as Andor, which I feel like we all hold to be like the gold standard of Star Wars writing.
You give a little.
Yes.
Yeah.
I agree. It will not have as good of writing as Andor, but what it lacks in writing, it's going to make up for in the lore. Because even just those 3 random episodes of Mando and Book of Boba Fett that he's directed are the most lore-heavy and captivating for me personally, because I'm a big lore guy. And so I think this show is just going to explore so much stuff that I'm already incredibly interested in. And there's no way I don't come away loving this show because of that alone.
And Dave Filoni is so loyal to it, too. Dave Filoni is, within the fandom, everyone's favorite creator, probably. And I think it is because he just exudes that love of Star Wars. Like, you can't watch a single interview of him where you don't take away, wow, that guy loves Star Wars.
Yep.
Yeah.
And I'm not going to say any names, but I've seen interviews of other people, other like producers, creators and stuff, where I'm just like, I don't know if I agree with what you're saying right now.
Yeah.
But like there's like a famous clip from, I think it was like the gallery or something. It was from like the first season of Mandalorian where they're all the directors were sitting around a round table, and Dave Filoni just starts randomly talking about the Duel of the Fates for like 10 minutes. And everyone loves that scene because Dave Filoni is just nerding out. And there's a lot of people at that table who are kind of like politely nodding along. But I can't help but think like some of these people are like, what is he talking
I know,
about
they're
right
stifling
now?
a yawn.
Yeah.
In that same episode, I think Favreau's like, I agree, but I have no idea what you're talking about.
Yeah.
And I was just like, well, all right. I was trying to fit this joke in the entire time because I forgot I wrote it down until I just looked at my notes. But I want to start saying the phrase lukewarm Taylor or Luke Taylor warm. So like lukewarm about it. So I wasn't able to fit it in, but I don't want to forget it.
It's because you're not lukewarm about anything with this show. I am fully invested. I already love this show. I am
agree.
so excited.
If it helps,
say what you want about Luke Taylor. It does not lack conviction.
if it helps, I wrote it for another episode that we did, and I just looked at my notes for that one.
That's why you saw it. Yeah,
Fair.
I was
I'd
just
like
like
to use that joke 6 episodes ago.
Yep.
That's funny. All right. Final thoughts. Anything else that we missed that you guys want to talk about?
I'm
No.
sure, but very excited.
I think
Yeah,
I hit it
very
all.
excited.
We'll see. We are going to be reviewing every single episode of Ahsoka the day after it comes out. So pay attention, follow along, and let's hope for a good show. I'm excited.
And
Sorry, were you going to say something?
yeah, I was going to ask if Luke Taylor specifically has any force for thought.
Does anyone have force for thought?
I do have a force for thought.
Oh, okay, great.
I was recounting the story of The Last Jedi to my son at bedtime, and I got to the scene where Finn and Rose explain to Poe.
It's confusing for your child.
I know. because my son is named Finn. And so I was telling Finn about how other Finn and Rose are explaining to Poe how they're going to go sneak aboard Snoke's ship, disable the tracker, and then they'll get away. And the scene cold opens with Poe saying, okay, give it to me again, slower. And Finn says, they're only tracking us from the lead ship. And it cuts to Poe. So that's the one we blow up. And Finn says, I like where your head's at, but no, they'd only start tracking us from another ship. And then they go on to explain the plan. But the way that scene is cut implies that Finn and Rose have explained this plan to Poe once.
At least once.
The only thing he got from it is that they blow up the big ship.
which is never a part of the plan.
Not even close. They said this plan in its entirety at least once, and the only thing he gets out of it is that we have to destroy this one ship. Like, what are you doing, Poe? Listen up.
That's hilarious.
Really funny. That's yeah, The Last Jedi. It's we've agreed unanimously, maybe not unanimously, but it is the show's favorite Star Wars movie, and I would say that's bad writing. Like, that doesn't make sense.
I don't think that's bad writing. That's just
no, that absolutely is bad writing. It doesn't make sense in the real world. That's unrealistic.
Maybe I just have a soft spot for the Last
Unless
Jedi.
Poe is genuinely that daft and he just had no idea what Finn was talking about the entire time.
Maybe they explained it really poorly
He's
the
under
first
a lot
time.
of pressure.
That's why he got cut.
Regardless, that was definitely some force for thought that I had when I was thinking about that.
That's hilarious.
All right. Well, let us know what you think. Like, comment, subscribe, give us a rating, do whatever you can. And you can reach us across all the socials at Force for Thought on Twitter, Instagram, YouTube, Threads, whatever it is. You'll find us there. Let us know what you think, any theories, predictions that you have for Ahsoka. And next week, we're starting to review it. So come back. We'll see how episodes 1 and 2 go.
Yes. See you, Sammy.